Growing up as a kid in Oklahoma, where I'm from, the Chili Bowl is the biggest race that we have. The Chili Bowl has kind of been my favorite race of the year. Growing up a dirt racer in Oklahoma, that's kind of the holy grail.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God! Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Sec's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go.
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Welcome to Zolder, a place which many people consider one very tough challenge. This very tight, very technical track requires precise accuracy. This track demands respect, and this track demands a no-fly zone. Failure to abide by that, and troubles run fully into a full circle. But here, with AOSC action, this becomes one very dangerous bump in the road towards the end of the championship here on the iRacing Esports Network, brought to you by SimSpeed TV. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's Jake Sperry here in the commentary booth with Jay Kennedy alongside, back again after a fairly lengthy absence, it has to be said. Jay, right now, we have just hit qualifying. They're going to have 30 minutes to set their times, and with so many drivers wanting to take here to this starting grid, this is going to be more than just about how fast you go around here. It's about track position as well, as Jamie McKnight allows Jordan Ross to be the number one driver pushing forward.
Yeah, hello everybody. It's good to be back. I've missed being in the seat here on a Friday night, but as you said, it's going to be a really tough race tonight. Making sure you don't bounce it off the curbs is going to be critical in making sure you can get a good result, and the curbs play absolute havoc at this circuit. They are so deadly, and avoiding them is just as important as trying to cut them and use them properly.
And there are so many drivers who could put themselves right up at the top here, and one name that has been maybe touted for this race as one of the favourites would be Brett Loxton in the Zuva car. He was 4/10 faster in pre-qualification than anybody in his split, so he may just be the driver that everyone is keeping an eye out on here. But we're going to be running the alternative layout here at Zolder, which means that final chicane is going to be a quick left and a quick right, and this is going to be what's going to catch a lot of drivers in the back out. The fact that you do have to slightly lift, and your exit as well is almost street circuit-like because you have no runoff area to work with.
Yeah, it creeps up really, really quickly on the outside, so you really have to be careful, be aware of where your car is positioned. And you also don't want to run too aggressive through the first two parts of the chicane as well, because you can cut those quite aggressively and get a slowdown penalty before your lap even starts if you're on your out lap or just before you finish your flying lap. So you have to be really, really careful with where you position your car, both on entry into that chicane and also on exit. As you said, on the outside, that wall just creeps up, makes it really, really tough.
It certainly does make things tough, and these drivers know just how tough they need to run this track, as 37 laps worth of racing today is going to prove to be a mighty challenge for many drivers up and down the field. No less for the championship leader, 888 Kyle Stokes. We'll see what the Evolution Racing Team driver can do in this qualifying session, because he seemingly has not found himself the best qualifying this season, but on race pace, this is how he's been leading the championship here, Jay, and it is very telling how consistency is so key in this title run.
Yeah, 100%. I think every winner that there's been in this championship in the past has done it purely on consistency, not necessarily on one lap pace or full race pace. Just being consistent, staying out of trouble and keeping the car clean is just as important as anything else. And Kyle Stokes has been very, very good at that, capitalising on others' mistakes. When others are having a bad race, he absolutely makes the most of it. So it's been good to watch Kyle in his progression throughout the season, and looking forward to seeing how he goes. He just puts the time that'll put him third at the moment, but Brett Loxton, as you said, setting the pace by far.
By far, Kyle Stokes is 1.1 off of Brett Loxton at the moment, and that is very surprising. He's 4/10 clear of Marlon McMullen, who is in second position. It's Bradley Ratu, who finds himself in third at the moment. Michael Barron moves himself up into sixth position, part of the new Mark 1 team, as he looks to try and make his push with the new subsidiary division of the Redback Racing Team. Hobbo 88's decided to turn up though here today. He's got himself into fourth.
That will have to change in the next little bit, but a good lap from Hobbo. But have a look at that pace from both Loxton and McMullen. So much quicker than everyone else. They got 3/4 of a second on the rest of the field, just those two drivers alone. A track that we don't use a hell of a lot in the V8 Supercar, so it's going to be a tough night out for a lot of these guys in the V8. Track that they aren't as familiar with as others like Bathurst, Phillip Island, Watkins Glen. This is going to be a tough outing for these guys in the V8.
Certainly not a traditional track by any sense, but one that has to be respected here, as the likes of, say, Harley Haber's 21 will look to try and put a time in. Over half the field has yet to put in that time, and it is chock-a-block at the Boulderberg hairpin right in front of Haber. James Scott abandoning a lap. Also abandoning a lap was Mark Samuel to get out of the way, as was Darren Goosey trying to find himself a bit of space here as they make their way to Jackie Ix, the final chicane. Out on track, turn 10, you could argue, out on this circuit, and let's go on board then for the first half of a lap. First corner is this first one that they go. Haber's going to abandon it. Let's go a little bit forward. Sean Thompson on the 092. He's in 12th position as he makes his way through Observatory Bend. Turn number 2. Be careful of the curbs on the outside. He leaves a lot of room there as he heads through Canal, and then to Lucian Bianchi, and then the prime overtaking opportunity that happens just after as Jordan Ross goes second and Haber third.
Yeah, good lap there from Jordan Ross to get himself into second. As you said, Haber in third. So those top 5, fair bit quicker than the rest of the field. Interesting that Loxton went for a second lap and was only 0.03 of a second off his first flying lap. So we could see a lot of drivers go for a second, maybe even a third lap to get a run in. So not getting your lap in on your first flying lap may not be the end of the world. The track temp staying very, very stable from the start of this qualifying run, around about 37 degrees.
Yes, it certainly has stayed stable. Something else that has stayed very stable is the fact that Brenton Hobson's in 6th position at the moment in qualifying. So there we go. Parity has been restored to the universe at the moment. But so many drivers are looking to put some great times in. Jacob Knight finds himself in 11th position at the moment. Michael Taliancic, the gatekeeper to the top 10, but look at the likes of, say, Brodie Whitmore making his push over to the line. He does himself a nothing. He's on a 28.5 at the moment. That's good enough for 16th position right now, and there are still drivers who are yet to set a time at the moment. Most notably, number 38, Jack Boyd. He is arguably the quickest man at the moment, behind someone else who hasn't set a lap time, Jackson Suslan-Harlow.
There's actually a lot of big names that haven't got lap times in yet. As you said, Boyd and Jackson Suslan-Harlow, but Brian Borg, Jamie McKnight, Andrew Gilliam, another driver that's come into form throughout this year as well. So a lot of drivers that we'd expect to put in some really, really good lap times early on that haven't got laps in so far. It's a good mix up the field tonight and make it very, very spicy.
Another one is Chris Radicic, who has yet to put some times in as those times keep tumbling as the cloud cover forms and 3 degrees gets lopped off of the circuit. What a time to now put a lap in. Someone who won't is Brodie Whitmore. He's straight into the tyres at the Tullayman complex, and that will not be helping at all. Go on board though with Jordan Ross. He's in 3rd position at the moment. He needs to find himself all of 0.3 of a second. Marlon McMullen has just got himself in 2nd as Brad Ratu is 7th. Jack Boyd moves himself into the 8th position, but Andrew Gilliam goes even quicker. His pursuit finds himself 2nd.
Great lap from Gilliam. Said he's come into form throughout this year, and that just shows the pace that he has. Just seeing some more shuffling. James McKee, who's just also gone to Pursuit Sim Racing, he's just put in a great lap as well. So Pursuit Sim Racing are really going to be a force to reckon with in the latter stage of this season and going into the next. They're very, very strong. Taliancic, McKee, Gilliam, these guys are really a force.
They are, as Michael Barron moves up into 9th place.
Loxton.
With that, and Loxton going even quicker. He breaks the 27 barrier with a 26.8. What a time from him. The times keep tumbling. Kyle Stokes is all the way back at the moment in 17th position as he makes his way to the line. Does he find anything more? No, he doesn't. So he's going to stay there, and in optimal conditions, you're not going to wonder how much time you have left in the session, or rather, how much time you can find out on track as James Scott goes 6th.
Good lap from James Scott. We'll stay with Kyle Stokes because he is on the flying lap now, and the track temperature has dropped even further. So this is, as you said, optimum time to get a lap in. If you didn't get a lap in right at the start of the session, now is the time to do it. Will Stokes be able to move up any higher?
And there are a few drivers who are yet to set times. Brenton O'Brien, Zach Baker, Nick Hausler, Brian Borg, Jamie McKnight. This Chris Radicic moves into 43rd position as Kyle Stokes makes his way through Butte and on the brakes into the Tullayman complex. 4 corners classified as one, a right, left, right chicane, and then you've got almost this Lesmo-esque section where you now put on the power and try and run yourself to the Boulderberg hairpin. And for Kyle Stokes, he has maybe a fragment of draft. He's got Mark Samuel just in front as he makes his way through Boulderberg and the nothing piff-paff corner of Jochen Rindt as he will now make his way to the final chicane, Jackie Ix, and look to set a better lap time. He's currently got Jamie McKnight, who's moved just ahead of him in 17th position. He needs to find himself a 10th to move up into the top 16, but Kyle Stokes crosses the line, 27.6. He's just on the fringes of the top 10.
Yep, much better lap there for Kyle Stokes. Be much happier with that time than what he was. Interesting, Jackson Suslan-Harlow still yet to get a lap time in, and he would be what you would consider one of our contenders tonight. As you said before, Brett Loxton was the fastest in his session, but in the other session, Jackson Suslan-Harlow was the pace setter.
2 great times coming in, one for the 660 of Matt Morris. He goes up to 11th position. The other is Guy Leach in the 46. He slews himself to 7th, but Marlon McMullen snatches pole.
Wow.
126.7. What a time!
Loxton now back out on track to get another lap in, so we'll keep an eye on Loxton in the next little while. Let's see what Jackson Suslan-Harlow can do. It looks like he might have aborted his lap again.
Oh, well, he might be in that Simworks TTL strategy of last to first, seeing as he's not in the title picture, it seems, at the moment. So maybe that's what 75 is thinking about. Otherwise, he'll be looking for some great times. Hobo 88, though, is back up into fourth. 127.2. That's what he'd be looking for.
Yeah, good lap from Hobo. Less than half a second away from the current pole position. So he'll be looking to solidify himself up in that top 5. Been out of the sim for a little while, and be good to see him back out on track in the V8 after a long absence. And we'll see if he can improve on that time. A little bit more seat time, and you wouldn't be surprised to see him shuffle up even further.
And this is a really topsy-turvy qualifying at the moment, because you've got, right now, if you look 15th, 16th, 17th, Stokes, Barron, Boyd, as Jordan Ross goes fast. It's 126.6. Just like that, Evolution Racing Team wrest control as Matt Morris himself goes fourth as well.
Good lap from Morris, and that lap from Jordan Ross, very, very impressive. Brett Loxton coming up, only a couple of corners to go on this lap, and it looks good so far. He's going to have a bit of draft from Jamie McKnight as well.
He is going to have that draft, so what can Loxton do as James Mackay moves into the top 5 with a great lap time in terms of what he's got. Loxton pushing everything through Jackie X, making that just like little wiggle on the exit there as he now straightens up to get across the line. Has he found a bit more? 26.812, he finds 5 thousandths only.
Hobson improved again as well to go back into 5th position, so there's a lot of shuffling in this top 10. It's very hard to keep a track on who is where. As you just see Matthew Deere jump up into 20th position. Jackson Susan Harlow still yet to put in a lap time, but he is about to do that now.
There are 52 drivers who could go out and set a time, and Susan Harlow, oh my, talk about pressure. Not set a lap time, not set a lap time. Well, how about 1 lap, 1 pole position?
Great lap from Jackson Susan Harlow. We go back to Marlon McMullen. Pressure is on tonight. This is incredible. I've never seen the top of the field shuffle so much in a session as we are at the moment, as McMullen aborts his lap. Loxton continuing for his lap.
Yes, and Brodie Whitmore moves up into 11th position right now, which shuffles Jack Boyd into 20th position right now. Kyle Stokes back into 18th. And the top 17-18 split by just a second at the moment. So many drivers are looking to have some very strong runs. Someone who's maybe surprising considering how good he is on qualifying pace is Tom Freer in the 946. He's down in 29th position. Stephen Varga 31st. Drivers who are normally up there near the pointy end struggling here at Zolder with the new track.
I'm trying to think back how long it's been since we've used this circuit. I think it's been nearly 18 months since the V8s have raced here. So getting a feel for the track is very, very tough for a lot of these drivers that haven't driven this car a lot around this circuit. It is a tough track at the best of times. Add in 650 horsepower, no brake and an under-tired car, makes it nigh on impossible.
It certainly does, and well, these are the miracle makers that will look to try and improve. Here's Damien Johnstone across the line. He will not set a representative lap time. He will go on to set his attempt now. He's in 22nd position, but you won't set too many if you're going to start running a little bit wide like that. And something we haven't really talked about today is pit road. It is so difficult to get right. Normally what you have on pit entry is one of the most difficult that you'll find anywhere on the iRacing service. But now it's a little bit easier on the entry to pit road, but it's the exit onto turn 2 that's going to cause the troubles today.
It's a strange pit lane, isn't it? Just the way it positions back out on the circuit. And of course, there is a compulsory pit stop in this race. So making sure that you do that and time it well with the safety car as well. Just seen that catch out a few drivers throughout this series. If you can time it right and make sure you come out without traffic, you're going to put yourself in a great position. Loxton's about to come and finish another flying lap. See what he can do.
He certainly can. He's in 4th position, the 209, and he does a 126.687 third man in the 26.6s, but he's the slowest of the three, so he gains one more position. Suzel and Harlow, Ross, Loxton, McMullen, Morris, your top five. From there, Hobson, Mackay, Gilliam, Ratu, Haber, and then from there, Whitmore, Leach, Thompson, Scott, Taliancic. It is stacked for the top 15 at the moment, and it will continue to be stacked all the way down to the top 20. I reckon 20 drivers have a legitimate shot of winning this one as Chris Robinson moves himself up into the 9th position.
Yeah, good lap from Robinson. As you said, 9th position. Andrew Gilliam about to finish a flying lap. He's another driver that could absolutely steal pole position away. Track has started to heat back up again, but the clouds you can see rolling in, rolling out. So the track is evolving ever so much throughout this session.
And that heating cooling cycle has been one of the big game changers on iRacing in the last 6 to 12 months. And all these drivers know that they have to make sure that they are adaptable in the conditions and know that they are primed and ready to take advantage when it comes to those times. Marlon McMullen, though, goes to the top. 126.631. It's a case of you set the bar and everyone else shouts, how high?
Amazing how much that it has changed throughout this session. Gilliam crosses the line. He does not improve on his flying lap. Matt Morris is about to finish a flying lap. Will he get into the 26s?
Well, could be the fourth driver only to make that happen. No is the answer for Matt Morris, so he will continue to look to try and find a time that he can be very satisfied with overall. But this is what we are seeing here, Jay. We are seeing drivers who are not normally up at the pointy end finding themselves to the pointy end. Brodie Whitmore, I think, is the prime example here. 12th position at the moment in qualifying. Did a fantastic job to qualify for Scops last time out, but now here in AOSC, he's looking for a top 10, and that is no easy feat by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, 100%. It's a very, very stacked competitive field, and one name that I'm surprised is a little bit further down than what we'd expect is race winner in this series, Harley Haber in 11th position. He's nearly a second off the pace. It's so tough, this field tonight.
And well, talk about tough, a second off the pace. Harley Haber is in 11th. Just half a second back in 21st is Jack Boyd, who even more so is out of position at the moment. Talk about drivers a little bit further down who are having okay qualifying. Mark Samuel finds himself in 42nd. Great qualifying effort at the moment by Tony Gaffer in 38th. Nick Hausler in 34th position, as well as Mitchell Bales, who is in 28th. These drivers are all having great qualifyings by their standards.
Yep, 100%. They're all doing a great job at the moment. One name that has not put in a time that I'm very, very surprised about, Brian Borg, yet to put in a lap time. He will not be happy with that at the moment.
I think he was struggling at the start of this session, and all he's got to do is put one in. He's got maybe 8 attempts to get it right, and I think he's looking for a bit of track at the moment. So he lets Jackson Suslan Harlow through into the Boulderberg hairpin and lets more drivers go through. Chris Robinson abandons lap, which makes Brian Borg look very, very foolish there for letting him go at that point of track. But let's go on board then with Brian Borg for a lap. And Jay, you're going to see how difficult this track is, not because of how narrow it is, how tight it is, but the anti-cut curves, which are effectively no-fly zones.
Yeah, 100%. Is just see Jackson Suslan Harlow go back to pole again. What a lap. But yeah, as you said, the anti-cut curbs are so huge here. And you see it, Borg really struggling for rear grip, and he just absolutely ruined the exit of turn 1. That may be why we're not seeing him put in a lap time at this stage.
If he's struggling with grip, this is the worst track to be struggling with grip. This is a downforce circuit as Jordan Ross moves up into second but cannot find the time. So everything is starting to come up close. Andrew Gilliam moves inside the top 5. He breaks the 26 barrier as well. Jack G. Boyd has moved up into 11th position. All of this is swirling and evolving as this track goes on. And normally we're used to 20-minute qualifying. We're at 30 minutes qualifying here. They've got 10 minutes and under to find the lap they desire.
Yep, it's going to shuffle around quite a lot. Jack Boyd into 11th. Harley Haber still yet to put in what he would consider to be a competitive lap time. We'll see what he can do on this flying lap. He's got a little bit of clear track ahead. I think that is actually Jack Boyd just ahead of him. So they're working together possibly to get in a lap time.
No, I don't think they are, and I think that Harley Haber and Jack Boyd wouldn't be working together per se, but they will be looking to find a very nice draft partner, and this is what drivers need to be looking at. Who is my draft partner? Who can I leech some slipstream off of to improve my times? We are in open qualifying session, which means once the 30-minute timer expires, they have until the end of their lap to complete and get over the line. If this was a closed qualifying session, at the end of the time, it would expire and no more times would be added from there. So in open qualifying, they have the benefit of an extra lap available to them. How will all of these drivers use that extra lap come the end?
Harley Haber goes to 6th on that lap as Marlon McMullen
Nice.
just starts a flyer now. See what he can do.
So some great times coming in as for the moment Brad Ratu is in 11th, Chris Robinson now in 10th position for the time being, but as we have stated so many times, all change all the time in this one. Kyle Stokes is back in 20th position, the championship leader. He's looking for something. Someone else though who is trying to find something, who had a very good 2018, looking to back it up in 2019, haven't seen much of him, Kai Sloggett.
Yeah, Kai hasn't been around a huge amount lately, so good to see him out. McMullen in the fence, so that has ended his flying lap.
Oh,
So
that's a shame, but
is.
he's got time, remember.
Yeah, a little bit of time left. Still able to get back out there and get another lap in. Chris Robinson about to finish a flying lap. No, he's not. He's about to come in and practice a pit entry. Right on cue.
Yeah, that's very fair. Of course, that pit entry is a very, very tough one, so you've got to make sure that you are on it as it does flow around that traditional Jackie Ickx chicane as they all look to try and put those magical lap times in as Jack Boyd moves up into 7th position on his qualifying lap, and he's going for another, seeing if he can get maybe a little bit more life out of the tyres. So 27 flat, no, he abandons lap. What a great lap that was though, to put him 13 positions above his championship rival Kyle Stokes.
Yeah, very, very good lap there. And Brodie Whitmore on a very, very good lap at the moment too. But Whitmore currently 27.3. Did have very, very similar lap time to Haber, so we could potentially see this lap from Whitmore put him up close to that top 5.
He slightly missed the apex though at the Boulderberg hairpin, heads through Jackie Ickx and looks for the magic run to the line, a very shallow run to the line. He will take that outside line and sacrifice thousandths, and he's half a second off of what he needed. So maybe that track just back up at 37 is going to mean that times are going to be very, very tough to come by once again. Top 10 now, Susan Harlow, Ross, McMullen, Loxton, Gilliam, Haber, Boyd, Morris, Hobson and Mackay. That's how things stand at the moment with just 6 minutes to go, and everyone in this session will be now hoping, except for Jackson Susan Harlow, cloud cover.
Yeah, they'll all be doing a little bit of a rain dance at the moment to try and get that cloud cover to come over. McMullen, Loxton and Gilliam all on flying laps at the moment as well. So this is going to be really interesting. Final 5 minutes of this session. Will one of these guys be able to get a big chunk of time? Let's have a look at Gilliam over the curbs. Just holds on.
Just about. So Andrew Gilliam is rattled at the moment. He's trying to put everything into his lap as he heads through to Lehman. First the right, then the left, and then the right again, as he hopes to just find himself 0.3 of a second to distance himself from Haber, but bring himself up to the fantastic 4 that are just on top of him. Loxton, McMullen, Ross and Susan Harlow on the brakes into Boulderberg. Fantastic apex he takes now through this little kink of Jochen Rindt, which you straight line as much as possible under the XC Sport Bridge, and now under the T-Buyer Racer Bridge as they head through that final section of track.
Oh!
And he's all over the curve. Bang! Around he goes. Lap time aborted.
Has that affected Loxton's lap time? Possibly, because he probably lost a 10th avoiding that incident. So Brett Loxton does not improve on his flying lap. Jackson Susan Harlow back out on track to do another lap. Jack Boyd on a flyer as well. And he's in the fence too.
Oh no, so Jack Boyd hits the fence and now his lap time is
Oh,
suddenly
Hobson!
aborted. And Hobson now looking
the
to
wall
try
as
and
well.
find something, but he's found the wall. That's how much everyone's pushing. They're now pushing too hard, and this is what iRacing has. Everyone pushes, but they know that if they push too hard, they don't have to pay a repair bill as such, Jay. They know they can go out and try and fine-tune their margin.
Fine-tune it, yes, but time is probably the one factor that they don't have now. That's the one commodity. It doesn't cost you money, but it's costing you a lot of time when you're pushing so hard, because you want to actually maximize these lap times that you're out there doing now. It doesn't look like the track is going to cool. It is now up to 37 degrees, so 10 degrees warmer than what we were around about 17, 18 minutes ago.
And that's what they need to find. If they find a miracle, now's the time to look for it. And for the moment at least, you have to be out on track because they've got 3 minutes on the clock. You've got to find something, and if that cloud cover comes along once timer expires, then that's going to make a lot of people look very, very silly out on track looking for time. So what can say Kyle Stokes do down in 20th position? He's currently behind the likes of Jacob Knight, Michael Barron, James Scott, Michael Taliancic, 4 very tough drivers to fight with, and that's not what Kyle Stokes wants at a track which I have to say is mightily tough to make overtakes on.
Yeah, it is, and this layout probably removes one of the best passing opportunities on the circuit into that final chicane. Running this layout, you don't have that slow chicane. You've got the fast flip-flop chicane.
Engine's gone. Bang! Kyle Stokes' engine blows up at Boulderberg, and now he will have maybe just one flying attempt if he wants to get the lap time sorted. Out of pit road will come Harley Haber. He'll be looking for maybe a little bit more. Bang! Brett Loxton gets hit, and he hits Jamie Stovold, who comes out of pit road, tries to get out of the way, locks up his wheels on the grass, and ultimately makes a meal of that. And that is, I have to say, very amateur-esque from Stovold there.
You mentioned it right at the start that the pit exit was going to be very, very crucial in tonight's race. It's proving crucial in the qualifying session as well. So Jack Boyd about to finish a flying lap. He's the only one of our top 7 at the moment on the flying lap. The rest of the top 7 all on their outlaps to time it perfectly for that final run.
Well, they're hoping for a bit of cloud cover. It's not come along in the last 10 minutes, but they've got themselves a 1.5 minute warning now, 90 seconds remaining, and you got to be there in 87 if you want to get another lap. This will be Jack Boyd's last lap. After this, he will have no more opportunities as he looks to make this push. Straight line to the line. He finds a 26.990. He jumps Haber into 6th. There is still time in this session.
Go to Hobson, who's about to finish what will be his final flying lap. 27.0 for Hobbo. Will he be able to improve? That looked very, very good through the end of the lap. Much better than the last one, but he's a long way off the pace. He's going to have to go again. Will the tyres have enough? That's a 1 minute 30.
Oh, and that was not a competitive lap time either, so a lot of work to be done. 45 seconds now for drivers to search and to find something. Drivers who definitely need to find something. Curtis Reed, 31.9. Tony Webb, 30.9 at the moment. Brian Borg is struggling on a 29.9. This is not a Bryborg performance. It seems that someone has infected his hardware in terms of what the Bryborg is looking to try and get. What about Guy Leach though? He's 14th position at the moment and he's trying to set up a lap time perfectly. He's got 15 seconds to get to the line. This may be a little bit touch and go through the final section. 10 seconds, he may have just made it as he now gets himself 8, 7, 6. He'll get another lap in, so that's crucial. Into pits comes Jordan Ross. He will not go any quicker. Simon Vella just gets across the line, so now you look. Jamie McKnight is the first driver outward looking in. He crosses the line. He does not go much quicker. He does not go any quicker in terms of his lap. Brian Borg will not find time that he's looking for. Ratu makes a mistake and he pushed too hard. Darren Goosey's done. What about Hobbo 88 though? He's looking to try and find himself out of 9th position here as he makes his way through Jackie Ixen and looks to push. Oh, he's all over the place. Bang! And that's it. for Brian Borg. His lap time's done. What about Brett Loxton? 2:09. He makes his way through Borderberg and now through Jochenrin. He's trying to find himself just a 10th and a half. Conditions are against him here as he looks to try and make this push to the line. Heads himself through Jackie Hicks. No, abandoned lap, abandoned ship. So that one not going to work out for him. You keep scrolling on back, looking on back. Suslan Harlow, can he put a little bit more daylight between himself and his rivals as he looks to make himself no opportunity to go through that final corner? He will not go any quicker. Someone who will try is James Mackay. He's in 10th at the moment, makes his way through the final corner, inch perfect over the line. He will look, he's looking for a 10, and look at that, he does not find anything more on that. Most drivers done and across the line. Guy Leach abandoned ship. This is how the grid will stack. It's Jackson Suslan Harlow on pole position for Simworks TTL Esports. Jordan Ross for Evolution Racing Team lines up alongside. Marlon McMullen and Brett Loxton lock out row 2 with Andrew Gilliam and Jack Boyd on row 3. Harley Haber and Matt Morris share row 4. Row 5 sees Hobbo 88 and James Mackay there.
Yeah, Hobson in 9th. I think you've got the number upside down by mistake. Chris Robinson and Bradley Ratu on row 6 with Brodie Whitmore and Guy Leach on row 7. Sean Thompson and Michael Taliancic on row 8. Row 9 goes to James Scott and Michael Barron with Jacob Knight and Kyle Stokes a long way back, position number 20.
Gary Cooper gets the blackjack position. Kai Sloggett starts with 2 little ducks. Damien Johnstone and David Kidman lock row 12. Row 13 sees Matthew Deere and Jamie McKnight a little bit down the order. Matt Lepoidovin in 27th. Mitchell Bales 28th. Stephen Varga and Nick Hausler lock row 15.
Got Zach Baker and Scott Clark next with Tom Freer, Scott O'Keefe in 33rd and 34th. 35th goes to Jamie Stovald with Luke Page, Shane Evans, Mark Samuel, Darren McKenzie and Tony Gaffer rounding out the top 40.
Simon Vella and Matthew Clowett have row 21 to themselves. Darren Goosey and Brenton O'Brien back in 44th. Chris Barnes, Chris Radicic, Lindsay Hobb and Brian Borg all the way back in 48th position. Daniel Leet starts 49th. David Nanadic is in 50th. A shock for him with Troy Allen, Toby Webb and Curtis Reed, the 53 drivers that will be taking to the grid. 53 opportunities for a victory. 1 mandatory caution, 1 mandatory pit stop, 37 mandatory laps of racing, or an hour and 20 minutes if it should so come down to it. Suslan Harlow has been the man of the moment. He has been the speed demon that everyone has been wondering, well, why didn't he do more races? Because he would be running away with the championship otherwise. Ross, McMullen, Loxton will try and get a nose in to try and make something happen. Watch out for the 38 of Jack Boyd. It is about putting as much daylight between himself and Triple Eight Kyle Stokes, who will have to fight in the middle of the pack, the worst place to fight at a track like Zolder. But 2 minutes or you start from the place known as Pit Road, and you will see as well just how far back this grid will stack. We haven't seen this so long in a very long time. They will stack around the final corner as well, the Jackie X chicane. But first corner is going to be the tough one. Who can get that run? There's 3 right-handers off to the left, so maybe those on the outside have the advantage, but 2 minutes will come up on the clock. Lights will come on top of the iRacing gantry, and 37 laps worth of racing is underway. And what a start it is from the second row from Marlon McMullen. Immediately trying to cover it off is Jordan Ross. He's got nothing. Suslan Harlow's got enough as they make their way into the first corner and try and make their runs. Looking just a little bit further back there. They're going to remain too wide in through 2 as there is a back off from McMullen. He decides he doesn't want to fight this one too hard. No dramas inside of the top 25 as they make their push through the next section. James Mackay on the outside of Matt Morris. He's trying to push. Loxton under pressure though through Lucian Bianchi as now he gets himself under pressure from Andrew Gilliam now as Jordan Ross decides he wants to get in on the action. As does Haber. Don't go 3 wide. No, he backs out of it. My word, that was so very nearly disaster as they head to the Clotting chicane. One vehicle off, 1 vehicle in trouble. And oh dear me, I didn't quite see who that was. I think that was James Mackay, who has run himself into a couple of issues. here and there. So James Mackay all the way back now behind likes of Brad Ratto. I didn't quite see who that was. It may have even
Guy Leach, I
been
think.
potentially, yeah, Guy Leach, sorry, was
McKnight
the driver
and
involved.
Hauser.
Oh, and they've started to run into each other as well, so they've got to be
And
careful.
Mark Samuel.
Oh my word, to Lehman picking up victims then as they now look to try and get themselves back going and limp themselves around. So they are back out there and back going again, but it is Jackson Susan Harlow who holds the lead. Battle for second on though. Jordan Ross under pressure. Here's McMullen trying to think about making a move. He can't quite get there as Brett Loxton just sits on the rear. Behind that, Jack Boyd has got himself now to try and get by Harley Haber. He can't quite do it at observatory. He's trying to get up and inside a canal, and he gets the line that he wants now. Can he push it through turn 4 at Lucien Bianchi? And for the moment, he's going to run out of road, and he's going to have to back out of it. Here comes Hobbo 88 in the Synergy car. He's going to take full advantage.
A bit of driving there from Harley Haber to hold on to that position, and as you said, Boyd just running out of road. And have a look at Brody Whitmore getting involved in this too, side by side, big wheel-to-wheel contact between he and Brenton Hobson.
And the corner always favours Hobson, but they're going to get on the brakes. Hobson's going to be turned around, and Boyd gets out of the way. He'll take the slowdown, as will 3 drivers alongside that one too. So that one very nearly ending in disaster. Great heads-up awareness from the man second in the championship to avoid all shades of disaster. Now the slowdowns will take place, and here will be drivers worrying here as Robinson and Taliancic are not forthcoming to that. More contact as off will go. I believe that is going to be Mackay who gets a hit at Boulderberg.
He's better change of position too, because Jackson Susan Harlow has lost the lead of the race, and I believe that's from a slowdown. He's dropped to 4th position, so yeah, definitely a slowdown. He's on the brakes early.
Yeah, he missed the apex at Lehman.
Yep.
He completely missed it on the brakes, locked up, and had to take a little dash across, and that was not going to be helpful as now Jordan Ross holds position and lead. Bit of traffic on pit exit. That's Toby Webb who's going to need to get out of the way of this swarming pack moving forward. So now Susan Harlow's got it all to do as now many drivers who have come in, made their stop, tried to get out again with the one fast repair, now find themselves right in the middle of disaster. But someone who isn't finding disaster, Kyle Stokes, he's up 4 positions in 2 laps.
And no real surprise, neither of us are surprised in that at all, because that's what Kyle Stokes has done all season long. He's now trying to take advantage of Brody Whitmore after that contact he had with Brenton Hobson. I was just see a car around there as well.
Nenadic.
Yeah.
It's the lap down car, so just getting out of the way, but they're still going to be battling it out into the Lehman complex, and out and away from there they go. Harley Haber has found a way through on Brett Loxton, so Loxton has dropped behind as well. This was Loxton trying to find himself in a position through as Whitmore. Oh my word.
Yeah, he and Sean Thompson just had a huge bang of wheels, and Kyle Stokes is in this little battle pack here. He will not be too happy about being involved in this little fracas right now.
Yeah, and just look at that though. He's got Sean Thompson who's going to fight for every little inch of track, and Kyle Stokes knows it at the moment. Jackson Susan Harlow has dropped behind Andrew Gilliam now as he made a mistake coming out of turn at number 3. Ratu on the defensive. Oh, let's just look a little bit further up, because here's Chris Robinson trying to attack, as was also I believe that was Matt Morris trying to get past lap traffic. But for the moment, Ratu is the big cork in the bottle right now. Chris Robinson is looking every which way to try and find a way through, and he's found naught.
It's very difficult to work out who's who with these black cars out there tonight with the new team out there. It's a little bit confusing to work out who's who, but I'll tell you who's looking really strong. You say Chris Robinson looking to make moves. Andrew Gilliam is looking really strong at the moment. His pace is really good.
His pace is absolutely fantastic, and Gilliam is looking at Brett Loxton next as the next target for him. He hasn't moved anywhere in this race. He stayed in 5th place, but he's looking to try and maybe edge himself away forward into the next little pack as Jacob Knight defends Sean Thompson. Toby Webb is in the middle of this. He's got to try and get out of the way as around the outside goes Kyle Stokes. He does a great job. Now to the inside will go Michael Barron, and then there's Hobson, then there's Mackay and Kinmond and Cooper and Johnstone and Deere, and it just freight trains. Talk about battle packs, this one's about 15 deep as there's trouble, and around almost I believe was Gary Cooper going.
Considering how many cars we've got out on the track and how close the qualifying session was, it has been relatively clean. It hasn't been perfect, but Matthew did guys slog it side by side through the final chicane. But I'm amazed that we've been as clean as we have so far.
Oh, well, we're seeing some great battling going on as
Sloggett.
a little wide goes Barrett as now Sloggett tries to slog one down to the inside and he's got himself trouble. That's Zach Baker who's off in the background. He hits the Armco and that will be that. More dramas almost there as Brian Borg, I believe, just gives a tap to Simon Vella, and Vella will lose a position though in the middle of the pack, so just keep an eye on this one. Kai Sloggett again losing out. That Scott O'Keefe he had to back out from, and now Jamie Stovold will be trying to get his vehicle moving forward in the Mega Black racing car. So no real dramas at the moment, just a little bit of oopsie daisies here and there, but for the time being the top 5 is starting to pull out a bit. Jordan Ross has found 1 second at the front. Here comes Gilliam looking down to the inside the Boulderberg hairpin, and he just runs out of road compared to Brett Loxton.
He's looking really, really racy right now. Here's Andrew Gilliam. He might be able to get a move done very, very soon. He just looks very, very strong. Jack Boyd also looking quite racy against... Oh, big wreck in the background. Matt Lapoitovan facing the wrong way, and there's another car around as well. That's Stephen Varga.
Ooh,
dangerous spot too.
It is. It's a very tough spot to be looking at, and well, they get themselves all sorted out from that. So that was not part of the plan. LeBlanc instant replay then on screen. And let's just piece together exactly what's happened there. So Varga in the Mach 1 car making his way out of the Tullayman complex, and well, is it going to be a case of 2 into 1? Oh, yes car. It is, and that's a big hit, and I think there was just a case of just losing the back end there for the vehicle in front. That was Toby Webb. He was struggling as a bit of lap traffic. He was dropping so many positions, and you have to worry as Sean Thompson gets pushed off wide, and as Kyle Stokes just gets out of the way of that, and he'll get a free position, and he'll say, cookies, I'm through.
You're now up into 15th, so it's +5 for Stokes, and biggest mover in the field, amazingly, was Brian Borg. He's just jumped into the pits to take his pit stop. Very, very early pit stop, but he was up 17 positions from where he started in only the first 5 laps. And Kyle Stokes' car looks a little bit sick right now as he tries to hunt down Jacob Knight. Have a look at that big moment there for Stokes.
Oh, he's got to be careful about that, and that's going to hurt all of his pace heading towards Boulderberg, so he's got to be careful about that. He's got Hobbo 88 behind, who certainly has a turn of pace. He's had a horrible start to this race. He's down 8 places at the moment, and he will want to find more than what he is letting onto at the moment. Crucial, though, in terms of the battle at the front of this field. Marlon McMullen is not out of this championship. He managed to close down that last time by 0.4 of a second on Jordan Ross as cloud cover comes in at this beautiful Zolder track.
Yep, that will increase the pace, which is going to make it very interesting.
Down the inside of Taliancic at 2, little bump at 3, get themselves to 4. Matt Morris, I think, has just managed to find himself through. He noticed contact and they hold it. Great move from Matt Morris. He's through on Taliancic.
Great job, Matt Morris. He just was a little bit aggressive there, and great to see a little bit of aggression out on track. Morris is known to be quite aggressive out on the circuit, but that was a very clean move. And through as well is Brenton Hobson on Kyle Stokes. Stokes looks like he's really struggling. He's going to lose more.
That's 1 position, that's the second to Thompson, and now Michael Barron will try and find a way down the inside potentially when they get to Tullayman. Late on the brakes they go. Who's going to outbrake themselves? Almost everyone at that stage, but they all managed to keep it going, and this is what Kyle Stokes is starting to worry about. He's in a pack here, and he's going to get bogged down. He's going to get frustrated. That's when mistakes happen. That's when Kyle Stokes loses the championship if he's not too careful. Oh my goodness, Michael Barron somehow slows it up.
Wow, I thought that was all over then. And just also looking to Jordan Ross 2 laps ago did the fastest lap of the race, 1:27.3. The guys now with, as you said, the cloud cover come back in. They're back into the 27s again. That pace at the front of the field is so quick right now.
It is massively quick, but Marlon McMullen reels another 3/10 of a second back on Jordan Ross. That gap's down to 6/10, and Jordan Ross all of a sudden has got to get the hurry up button going because he's not safe at all at the moment, and he's had a terrible season by his standards. Some good results, but really so many unforced errors that he has really cost himself a championship.
A very, very inconsistent season. So, yeah, as you said, it's going to cost the championship. Still, 3 races to go after tonight. 2 Enduros as well. So, still a good chunk of points. That Endurance Championship also looking like it's a little bit settled, but it's going to be very, very tight come the end of the season. And still a few drivers that are well and truly within reach of that championship. Bradley Ratu looks like he's in a bit of trouble here from Chris Robinson. And Matt Morris has some great pace.
He certainly does. On the brakes into the Boulderberg hairpin, just in front of them. That's Chris Radicic and Matt Lepoidovin, and they are battling for position here, 1 lap down. So they've got to be cautious about this. They head through Jackie Ix on this alternate layout through the left, and then Loxton, the right to try and get on the powers. Loxton at the moment, a little bit further in front. That's a slow down penalty, and that will cost him a position on Jack Boyd. So that's a lot of time that he's lost. A good 3 positions he has dropped then, as he now falls back to 7th.
Yeah, that's going to really, really hurt Loxton. That's a free position for Andrew Gilliam, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him maybe make a move on Harley Haber in the next lap or so, because he looks so strong right now. Last lap by, he was a full second quicker than Haber.
Talk about strong. Matt Morris has sniped a position away from Chris Robinson at turn 2. Matt Morris has found a magical overtaking place that so many have not been able to find. But now the battle for the podium, yes, you're absolutely right. It's a 5-car train stuck behind number 21, Harley Haber. So for now, Haber's got to be very, very concerned about this. Gilliam, Susan Harlow, Boyd, Loxton, arguably some of the best in this field who can go out there and make some brilliant moves and put some brilliant times in. Haber now has got to play the defensive card, especially after last week, Jay, where he got disqualified in the second race.
Yeah, it's definitely a big painful result there to have a DQ in this series. We don't see it a lot in the single race format or the double race format.
Boyd.
Yeah, Jack Boyd looks really good here.
Defensive line taken by Susan Harlow. Will have to go the long way around the outside of first corner, and he's going to run out of road, but can he dive to the inside at the second? Look from Gilliam just in front, he can't get there, and no chances there for Boyd, who is trying to gain positions, all the while losing out to one driver who I believe has just had a slowdown penalty. That's Carl Stokes, and he will drop a massive amount of positions. He's behind Scott O'Keefe now. He's down to 24th position.
Is it a slowdown or is it actually damage? Because that car looks incredibly damaged on the left-hand side.
It's damage. Let's get a LeBlanc instant replay then. See exactly what has come about of Kyle Stokes. So he looks like he is limping, heads himself through the final corner, and does he have himself a moment on the exit?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, he does. It's a massive one. Bang into the wall. And could that be the moment that the title picture changes?
Stokes needs to get himself into the pits as soon as possible. It's probably a little bit early to make it home from this stage, but he's going to have to roll the dice and hope that he can make it home from here. Come in as early as he can, hope that he can make it home, get himself back into the race. Going to be a very, very painful lap though, getting it all the way around the circuit with that much damage. Have a look at the run of Gilliam here out of the final corner. He might be able to get this done.
He might, as he tries to go to the outside of Harley Haber. Haber's going to defend it. Up and under attempt coming, but the next 3 corners are all right-handers. A disadvantage now for Andrew Gilliam here at Observatory. This is going to allow Jackson Susan Harlow in. Holds it around the outside of the first corner, Observatory. Now the second of Klein, and the third of Lucian Bianchi soon follows. Mistake from Susan Harlow as well, as Jack Boyd dives down to the inside now, looking for the move. Can't quite find it though. They'll stay too wide for Klein, which always favours the inside line. Haber massively defensive now as he now moves across and almost chops the nose off there of Gilliam, who breaks a little bit earlier, as Loxton now tries to find the inside. This is beautiful stuff.
This is a great battle pack here. Haber, Gilliam, Jackson Susan Harlow, Jack Boyd and Brett Loxton has just seen Matt Morris and Bradley Ratu side by side. Morris has just got to slow down. He did get the move done, but he's going to have to give up the spot. go back to this pack of 5 because this is in some incredible racing between these guys right now.
This is the battle for the last spot on the podium, and everything means a lot, especially for the man in pink, Jack Boyd. He wants to try and push himself right to the moon at the moment. Sorry, the man in white, Jack Boyd, he wants to push himself to the moon, and at the moment, the moon is just a little bit too far away at the moment. Harley Haber is having a storming defensive drive. Gilliam is proving he's got pace. Susan Harlow's on the recovery, as is Brett Loxton, and let's not forget, one mandatory pit stop, one mandatory caution coming up. And now the next question becomes here, Jay, Kyle Stokes, if he is going to come, he's just come out, he's almost a lap down, if not a lap down at this stage. He's got Jordan Ross just behind him at the moment. Firstly, he's got to stay on the leading lap. That's the most important factor. Secondly, how many positions will he gain when a caution comes out?
Yeah, exactly right. If he plays this right, it's a big mistake for Gilliam. He's going to lose 2. But you're right,
Yeah,
Stokes needs to be really careful to stay on that lead lap. I'm sure that Jordan Ross will make sure that he doesn't get overtaken. You'd think they'd work together.
He's got to be. Well, this is the worry, though, because Marlon McMullen's only 1.4 back as Gilliam has lost 2 positions for his troubles. 1.4 seconds back is not a comfortable gap for Jordan Ross. I think he may just have to bite the bullet here on Kyle Stokes and say, I'm sorry, son, you're going to have to be lapped here in this event. But now this is going to be really, really marginal for a lot of drivers here who are having their own battles. For the moment, at least, we can look further back. You've got, say, Brenton Hobson. He's trying to keep himself at the moment with Jacob Knight in this battle for 14th and 15th position. And you just keep looking back. Michael Barron's trying to get past David Kidman. Kidman's having a great run. He's up 6.
Yeah, good job from David Kidman. He's always very, very consistent, and you know that he always plays a very, very smart fuel strategy as well. So look to see what he can do when it comes time for this pit stop. Got a little bit of a gap between him and the guys ahead, as you said, but Michael Barron right on his tail.
Yes, and Michael Barron in the 138 was almost a trial by fire back into V8 racing, into supercar race. Let's get it right, 3rd time, back into Australian touring car racing and finding himself some brilliant work, and he's gone and made himself a fantastic run over the last month or so, and he's looking to try and make sure it's not just temporary form. David Kinman here, just in front of him, is just on a very good defence at the moment. Really, we're not seeing too many overtakes at this stage. We are heading towards that pit stop window, and many drivers are probably just waiting as Stephen Varga has to serve his slowdown penalty and get out of the way of as many people as possible, but he parked it on the apex. This is going to allow Hobson a chance to go through. They go 3 wide over the hill at boot, and now Jacob Knight will sacrifice the position as Brenton Hobson slides the way through and gets it done at Lehman.
So Hobson back into 14th. Of course, he won't be happy to be that far down. Wanting to gain a few spots to get himself back into that top 10 because he had that good pace in qualifying. Just that incident earlier really has hurt him. Seeing Shaw Thompson is around.
Oh no, that's not good at all as the 092 runs himself into issues. He will now have to try and work a way back through the field. This is just after the Lehman complex here as we get the LeBlanc instant replay on this. So makes his way through. Around he goes all by himself, and that is not brilliant by Sean Thompson as he looks to push away back through the field. So that was not ideal, but we look
Susan Harlow.
Oh my.
Almost
getting it done.
Yep.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Almost getting it done. And now Jack Boyd's going to start thinking here. Well, Harley Haber's backing us all up here. We need to get through ASAP. And at the moment, it's a case of find your footing here. As Susan Harlow's clearly the quicker driver. He was the fastest man in qualifying for a reason. Little wiggle as he comes up over the hill. They get all on the brakes, and nobody's going to be able to make a move into Lehman this time. But now you have to wonder who dares to dive into the pits first.
I wouldn't be surprised to see all 5 of these guys straight into the pits, one behind the other, because Loxton at the back of this group may have been able to save a bit of fuel. He's going to have a pit stall ahead of most of these guys. He'll be able to jump quite a few of them if they all come in together. Gilliam may be the one that'll stay at the longest, but I wouldn't be surprised to see all 5 come in straight away.
Well, all 5 of them are looking as a couple of drivers come down in. Troy Allen and Matthew Clowett are all in. Nobody comes in. Oh, Harley Haber so close on the exit of the final corner. Jackie X there. You almost tagged the wall the same way that a certain championship leader tagged the wall. Kyle Stokes, who's all the way back at the moment in 40th position. Here comes Susan Harlow though, down to the inside at turn 2, and he's going to have to keep this run going. Bump given by Jack Boyd, but great traction there off the exit from Harley Haber. He maintains position.
Some great driving. Defensive driving is A1 at the moment, but the aggression is also A1. Here we go.
On the brakes, last of the late breakers, and that's beautiful work. Will they hold it together? Bit of contact. Haber is almost effectively capsized there on the exit of the Klein chicane, and he drops all the positions except maybe one. Loxton's got to fight this one, and he'll go around the outside, and he gets it. Haber is freight trained.
Wow. Oh, a little bit of contact there as well, and Loxton did a great job to hold on. This is going to get very, very spicy. 5 different teams involved in this 5-car battle pack. What strategy games will unfold as Haber back down the inside? A huge lock-up.
Leader in though, Jordan Ross goes onto pit road. McMullen swiftly follows. So the top 2 dive onto pit road at exactly the same time. Who decides to go in next? Loxton has decided to go. No one else though. So this is a big, big development right now as Jackson Susan Harlow will retake the race lead here on lap 16 of this event. This is not the end of this race, not at all. Still got a caution to come out as well, but these drivers trying to make an early stop here are banking on, oh, okay, we pit now, the caution comes along, we're in great position.
It'll be interesting to see when this caution does come out too. So the pit lane is absolutely loaded with cars at the moment. Ross, McMullen, Loxton, Robinson, Morris, Ratu, Kinmond, Cooper, O'Keefe. Pit lane is absolutely filling up. Jordan Ross out first of those guys, maintaining about the same gap back to Marlon McMullen at the moment.
If not a bit more, I think.
Yeah.
There, as he maybe slightly short-filled there, banking on the caution. Loxton gets himself out in the way as there is drama on and off of pit road right now, as I believe that's Ratu, who I think has just got himself ahead there of Matt Morris, and there's not much that Morris is going to be able to do, as he will now see the Exto Gaming car just in front. So Matt Morris drops behind Chris Robinson, back of the pack.
Looks like Kinman and Cooper will maintain their positions. Jack Boyd's applying a lot of pressure. Andrew Gilliam's going to jump into the pits. Haber's going to continue on, but Jack Boyd is applying so much pressure to Jackson Susan Harlow right now. We could see a change of position here.
This is the worst time for them to battle. They know if they start battling now, they're not going to get anything at the end, as out of pit road comes Kai Sloggett and Guy Leach, looking to try and get themselves back out and racing again. We are right in the middle of this pit stop cycle, and you want to pit sooner rather than later if the caution does come out. If you get caught with the caution, then that is you all the way towards the back of the field. In terms of what is going on with Jordan Ross and Marlon McMullen at the moment, they're just making their ways to the start-finish line right now as Darren McKenzie goes Tokyo drifting into pit lane.
Jack Boyd is applying so much pressure on Jackson Susan Harlow right now. He's not letting him breathe. As Sean Thompson's around again, has not had a great night tonight. So Susan Harlow is defending very, very well from Jack Boyd, but Boyd is looking like he wants to get this done.
He does. Little wiggle though coming out of the final part of the Telemann complex. Over to the Boulderberg hairpin they come along, and maybe now is the case to be made. I'm pitting when the last driver decides they come in. We're on lap 17 of 37. We've got ourselves 20 laps to go at the line, and Jackson Susan Harlow is going to finally dive in, and Boyd was always going to follow him in. Does Harley Haber go in? No, he will decide to stay out and play the long game now and try and make sure that everything works out in his favour, as nose to tail they will weave the S's onto pit road, and this is the case to be made. How quick has Brett Loxton been when he's got back out and going? At the moment, Loxton is stuck because Gilliam is ahead.
Yep. Didn't get the advantage that he would have hoped, because Gilliam was at the trail, or at the tail, I should say, of that train for a little while as well. So both of those guys shortest pit stops out of that top 7 cars at this stage. So they definitely had an advantage being at the back of the field. But interesting that I've lost my train of thought. I'll let you keep going.
Well,
I don't know what I was going to say.
It doesn't matter. Jordan Ross goes through. Marlon McMullen goes through. Boyd jumps in the stop. Jackson Suslan-Harlow. What a stop! As he now looks to battle, they'll come out at turn 2, and they will be behind both Loxton and Gilliam. So both of them losing out there on the stop, and they've got a lot of work to do now in the second half of this race. The good news is they will have tyres. Someone else who's got good news, Taliancic has jumped Ratu and Morris and Robinson.
Yeah, good job from Michael Taliancic, but a 4-second shorter stop from him in comparison to Bradley Ratu. And I'm going to think that Gilliam and Loxton have passed Boyd and Harlow based purely on that flying lap, 1 lap pace with the fresh tyres. Faster out lap than the pace that those other guys had with those old tyres. Here comes Loxton looking, but that would have been enough for them to get that position as Haber is in the pits.
As is Brodie Whitmore from second position. So the pit stop cycle continues, and they're all going to get in before the caution comes out. So this is going to be a bunch-up caution, if anything else, as Troy Allen is very slow off of the exit for Jordan Ross at the moment, who is effectively net leader at the moment. Michael Barron is in on the lane. I think his day is practically done at this point as he looks a lap down at this stage. Haber's going to be the big one as Jordan Ross goes through. Going through will now be Marlon McMullen in second position, as now the likes of, as we get through, Gilliam easily makes a way through. Boyd will comfortably make a way through. Suslan-Harlow will definitely make a way through. It's a poor stop from Harley Haber, and all of a sudden, yes, he's got himself through, but now he's in a little bit of no man's land at the moment. We'll get ahead of Tony Gaffer, which is crucial, but effectively he's now on the Taliancic train.
Yeah, it's a very, very long stop in comparison, 21.5-second stop. But that slower pace, staying out there with the tyres.
Marlon McMullen just had the scare of his life from Curtis Reed, the lap traffic. That will effectively say end of day for him. Reed really struggled heading through the chicane. He just got a bit airborne, and McMullen did so well to read the situation and get out of it scot-free.
Yeah, that's lucky for Marlon McMullen. Almost ended his day. So lucky that he did see that happening ahead of him and was able to get out of that. And as you said, when Haber come out of the pits, he's well and truly in no man's land. 6.5 seconds back from Jackson Suslan-Harlow. Staying out long has really hurt Haber. Now he's going to hope that he gets a big advantage later on in the race.
In terms of the championship battle, Kyle Stokes has fought his way back to 25th position at the moment. Next up for him will be Damien Johnstone, but ultimately he was 0.4 of a second slower than the 0.33 that last time by.
Boyd.
So maybe he's just reached the bottom of the barrel as here comes Jack Boyd in the 38, and he doesn't quite get there. Loxton, though, on the inside for turn number 2. Can he hold the position off for the time being? Well, Boyd's going to try and come up and under, and he's just not there.
Oh. Good bit of fighting there from Jack Boyd, and I thought he might have been able to get the move done, but not quite close enough. But he's got some great intent at the moment. He had a great run coming through the chicane. He looks very, very strong in regards to top speed. He just can't quite get it done under brakes. He doesn't quite look as strong and stable under brakes as those guys ahead at the moment.
Well, sounding a little bit like a politician. He was very heavy over the curb there at the Klein chicane. He's now got a great chance. He can just use the outside line. He can't. He lifts out of it early as they head into Tullayman. Traffic in front is Chris Radicic, and they all try and get around him. A, S, A, and P if they want to continue on this charge through the field and trying to gain that one position, those massively vital, important championship points, especially with 2 Enduros left in the last 3 rounds of the championship. Every point matters for every team out there.
100%. Every single point is so much more crucial at this point of the championship. And interesting, Jackson Suslan-Harlow dropping a little bit off the back of these guys right now. He doesn't look like his car is behaving quite as well as the guys ahead, but that was the same in the first stint. Loxton almost ran into the rear of Gilliam, had to get out of it, and he could lose a spot.
Around the outside tries Jack Boyd, and he's got to try and hold it, use that line, and they are pretty much door to door through the observatory bend, now through the canal bend, and into Lucian Bianchi they go. Still can't get the move sorted, and Loxton is pinched to that inside, and that is beautifully done by Jack Boyd. 3 corners around the outside, position granted. Jackson Susan Harlow now tries to dive to the inside. They're going to go 3 wide, are they, into the line chicane? That's not brave. That's foolish, I think, but they managed to sort it out, and Susan Harlow can't get the position, so that is a good work, but there's a slowdown for Loxton. Thank you, and that is a free pass for Susan Harlow.
Yeah, Loxton won't be happy about that because he had the prime position to get a move done on Boyd and probably just wasn't quite expecting Jackson Susan Harlow up the inside, and then had to overcompensate and cut the corner, so gives up that spot. Now he's going to have to do a lot of work to get himself back into that top few positions right now.
He certainly is. We've got battles a little bit further down the order right now. You've got a 5-car train behind Jamie McKnight. It involves Matthew Deere, Tom Freer, Brenton O'Brien and Luke Page, and this one is for about 24th position at the moment, and these drivers are all looking to try and just find a bit of work in the middle of the pack. They know they can't be too aggressive right now because there is a caution coming up, and that's when gloves come off and knuckle dusters come on.
Just getting a LeBlanc replay. Something's happened to Kai Sloggett. He's had a big incident up through the first chicane, and I'm going to say he's just cut the corner too much, spun it around, and that is exactly what he's done. And he's hit the wall really hard. That is his night done, unfortunately, Sloggett. So he will not score too many points. Chris Robinson, Bradley Ratu, though. Sorry, Matt Morris and Chris Robinson will change positions. Something's happened to Brodie Whitmore and Bradley Ratu.
Oh, well, let's just have a look then at what's happened
Have
to
they
the
been
57.
disqualified, possibly?
That could be what has happened because the limit is 25. So let's get a look at this then.
Yeah, Whitmore is on
the
25, so yeah, definitely Whitmore has been disqualified from the race. Here we go.
Bang! Right on cue. Caution comes out, and on lap 22, the end of 22, Jordan Ross will now be forced to slow his pace down because all of a sudden the caution has come out, and that is not the timing that was wanted for him.
Have a look at the big incident here for Bradley Ratu, and Brodie Whitmore nowhere to go to make heavy contact into Ratu. Door-to-door contact between Ratu and Matt Morris. Huge incident, that one.
It's a big one, and no wonder that drivers will be upset about the way that one finished. So Ratu out, also out Brodie Whitmore. A lot of casualties. Those casualties help one man and one man only. Kyle Stokes from the 888. He will now move up into 20th position.
He'll be very happy to get another spot because he's had a horror night so far, but this caution period definitely helps him. He does need to save a little bit of fuel to make sure he can make it home, though. We heard the pit window was between laps 12 and 25. He had to come in on lap 10 to be able to make it home. He's got to save 2 laps of fuel. Perfect opportunity to save 2 laps of fuel is under the caution. But, will the caution be long enough to save enough fuel?
Well, the good thing about this caution is that Jordan Ross is in complete control of it. So when they go through this caution period, Jordan Ross may just ever so slightly slow down the pace of this field to really work into his advantage. Something that will be also part of his advantage is the 3 bits of lap traffic which splinter the top 3 in this field. Lindsay Hobbs, you've got yourself Chris Barnes, and also Matthew Cloet. Those 3 are the splinter right now, which are not going to be helping too much at all anybody else out there who is looking to try and gain positions quickly on the front 2. I still think this is a front 2 race, but Andrew Gilliam has now got to have eyes in the back of his head at all times.
Yeah, 100%. Got to be on the ball right now. It's Jordan Ross's race to lose right now. Andrew Gilliam is going to have to try and hold on so tough and so well right now because it's going to be a really interesting phase of the race here. We'll restart with, 12 laps remaining. That's going to make it a really tough fight.
Two drivers have yet to come in and make their stops. They are Tony Gaffer in the 411 and Brian Borg in the 017. Both of those drivers have yet to come down and make their mandatory pit stop. Actually, I think Brian Borg did, didn't he? It's incredibly early.
Yes, he has. Yeah, he did come in really early, so he might have to come in and make another splash and dash of fuel. Nick Heusler as well, yet to make his stop. But Tony Gaffer will come into the pits now. He did get up to 13th position. That's not a bad result. A few others coming into the pits as well, by the looks of things.
Yes, and one is Brian Borg. So Borg was not enough. Kyle Stokes decides he's going to dive into. That's huge. He was short on fuel and has decided, well, I'm not going to really lose too much in terms of time and position, so I might as well get the fuel and get back out and going again. So at the moment, Kyle Stokes takes another big hit, and erring on the side of caution, I think, was something he couldn't afford to do in the position that he's in the championship. I'd rather have tried to save those 2 laps than come in for a splash and dash under the caution where you're going to lose massive amounts of time.
One thing he can do, though, is get fresh tyres and get back out there. Maybe able to make some moves and get some spots. That could be the plan as well.
Well, his tyres are only going to be about 6 laps fresher than those at the front of the field. Against those around him, this caution has come not too long after the pit stop window, so maybe 6 laps, 7 laps, 8 laps
long
fresher
stop.
tyres. It's going to be a very long stop as well. I wonder if he didn't check everything off and he's getting a whole ton of fuel, so Kyle Stokes will spend forever in 3 years and pit road, and maybe he was trying to deal with a bit of damage and get that repaired too. He will be behind Tom Freer and Stephen Varga, who is on the lead lap. Yeah, that's horrible for Kyle Stokes. So back in 35th position, he's going to have a Jared Filsell-esque run to the end of this race if he's going to hope to get anything out of this one and to keep his championship lead alive.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be a really, really tough finale to this race for Kyle Stokes. He'll have 13 laps to gain as many spots as he can, but it's going to be a really tough ask to gain a huge amount of spots with such a short amount of time left in this race around one of the toughest tracks to pass in the schedule. This has just gone absolutely horribly wrong for Kyle Stokes tonight.
It has done, and this is what champions are made of. It's not about where you start, it's not about the adversity you have in the race, it's about how you recover and how you finish out the racing. So this is going to be the toughest challenge that Kyle Stokes will have this season. He knows if he wants to keep this championship alive, he's got to make it happen right here and right now. Pace car has been given a lot of space though at the front, the iRacing Porsche first safety car, which will now dive down onto pit road. Pace now behind Jordan Ross. He's got one vehicle in between himself and Marlon McMullen. McMullen will want to try and use that to his advantage. Through Jackie X, and boom, there's the power. Off we go. Green flag coming along. We got ourselves 13 laps worth of racing to go. And the pace, of course, behind Jordan Ross in the Evolution Racing Team vehicle. It's a clean start as Lindsay Hobbs gets out of the way of a number of drivers. Oh, there's trouble already. Round goes Taliantic, and I think there was Morris involved. He goes straight on, and also getting caught in that was Chris Robinson. Disaster at the start.
Wow, that's going to be game-changing for those guys. We'll get a quick replay and see what happened, because we were watching Harley Haber, who was starting to make some big moves.
And just behind that, so this is what happened to Matt Morris. You can see they're weaving on the brakes down to the inside. Morris loses it on entry, and bang, one vehicle goes around, 2 vehicles get hit, and Morris effectively says, well, I'm not going to get that one back in the Velocity Motorsports car. That's it, day done, I'm finished. And that is a shame to see that one end that way, as a mistake comes for Lindsay Hobbs, and he'll be in the gravel at Tulane, and that was not the plan that he was hoping for. Top 4 remain unchanged, as the top 5, top 6, top 7 off the start. This has now brought James Scott into 8th position, Brenton Hobson in 9th, but Hobbo 88 is looking for position number 8 on the brakes at the Boulderberg hairpin.
Hobbo's finally got back to where he started back into P9, so he'll be a little bit more happy now than what he was 20 or 30 minutes ago in this race, because he was he would have been very, very vocal about how disappointed he was with that start phase of the race. And I'm wondering too if that incident for Matt Morris may have been some sort of failure, because that car just locked the brake. Borg around.
Kyle Stokes is out as well,
Yes.
so Brian Borg's around. Kyle Stokes is out of the Zolder race here in AOSC, and Jack Boyd will have a little smile as he sees Kyle Stokes' client has manually disconnected. He knows it's maximum points time. If he wants to try and get a podium, he will take full advantage.
See if we can pick up what happened at the end there to Kyle Stokes, because he's been disappeared for quite a while. Oh, he's had a huge moment.
Well, let's
What's
have a
happened
look at
here?
this one. So Kyle Stokes heads himself through this, and all is
Oh!
instant in front of this. He tries to get out of the way, and bang! His 9 lives run out, and bang, he's in the wall again. And that is day and done. Darren Goosey was involved. He rolls it in the end as Kyle Stokes. Oh my word. That is the epitome of a bad day at the office. So this is what happened to Darren Goosey. He gets turned. There's I believe that's Brenton O'Brien he's been involved with there.
Yeah.
And well, if there's anyone to be angry about, oh my goodness, Team Boss is the person to get angry with.
That was spectacular there for Kyle Stokes, who didn't see that flip on the first replay. So we come back live. So that's what's happened to both Borg and Stokes. So this is championship changing, coming up with 3 rounds to go after this one completes. 11 laps left in this one. Brenton Hobson's looking very, very strong to potentially get a move done here.
He is looking strong. He's looking all around James Scott, and he is not finding anything yet. He wants 8th position. Scott, one of the biggest movers and shakers in this field at the moment, heading through turn 3, the Canal Bend, and now heading to Lucian Bianchi, of course, the uncle of the late Jules Bianchi, of course, tragically lost his life at Suzuka. But James Scott is trying to hold that defence. Hobson just playing that waiting game. He knows he's not going to reach Harley Haber at this stage, but on the brakes into the climb chicane and still no dice.
Just behind as well, Jacob Knight defending vigorously with damaged car. Hobson's looking really good here. Not quite close enough, but he's applying a lot of pressure to James Scott.
He is applying that pressure, but he's not getting any reward for said pressure. All he can do is now wait and hope that something happens. Still though, Jordan Ross holds the lead by just over a second over Marlon McMullen. Andrew Gilliam is just doing enough at the moment to maintain the 3rd position out on track. So the 201 in a very nice place at the moment to get a very solid podium. But Boyd and Loxton, and maybe just a little bit too far back at the moment, Suslan Harlow trying to get through. Look at the run that Hobbo just got out of Jackie X. Here's the chance on James Scott's 088, and while an extra 0 is not going to change too much, it's still line astern.
Oh, big slide for Hobson as well. He's trying everything he can to unsettle James Scott right now, and Jacob Knight as well in the background, doing a great job defending this position from James McKee. We need to go forward though, because Jack Boyd is starting to apply a lot of pressure to Andrew Gilliam.
Gilliam now at half a second's advantage when they last crossed the line, has to be so cautious. Brett Loxton wants to get in on this as well. He's the reigning champion at the moment. He wants to prove to everyone that he knows what he can do in that Zuva car. On the brakes, into the Tulayman complex they come for the 28th time out of 37. And now
Hobson,
with
slow
10
down.
laps to go, they're going to try and go through. Hobson gets the slowdown penalty, and just like that, drops behind Jacob Knight, ahead of James Mackay. So that's going to be a position lost in the overall, and Hobbo 88 is just, it's almost like his driver is coming along in fits and starts.
It hasn't been overall a great night for Brenton Hobson, but great to see him back out on track. It's been a little while since we've seen him drive in the Commodore, and great to see him out on track again, and no doubt he'll be back in a couple of weeks' time when we head to Phillip Island for the next round. Enduro at Phillip Island next round. I'm looking forward to that one. It's going to be absolutely sensational.
And of course, we all know that Phillip Island is a favourite stomping ground for the Synergy car, so maybe Hobbo 88 might want to find himself a little bit of help there, as Chris Robinson now trying to recover back through the field. He's looking at 15th position right now, being held by the 222 of Scott O'Keefe. And for the moment anyway, O'Keefe's 222 is still in a good position. Robinson, though, will have to do a lot of work to get around, but Lucian Bianchi holds a lot more speed coming into the corner, not enough coming out.
Yeah, I think the damage for Robinson might be just hindering him a little bit. There's a fair bit of front end damage over that front left-hand wheel. I think that'll be hurting the straight line speed.
Oh, Jack Boyd under pressure. Here comes Loxton down the inside. A mistake at the Tilleyman complex. And there'll be traffic as well. So Loxton backs out of it as they head their way to the Boulderberg. But he's going to dive back to the inside anyway. Boyd goes in deep as well. And nearly Gilliam gets taken out. Here comes Suslan Harlow. Going to snipe a position from Loxton. And the outside of Jock and Rick. What a move.
Wow. What a great move from Jackson Suslan Harlow, and Loxton did a great job to hold on because there's a fair bit of door banging between those two as well, and Harley Haver's starting to close back up on these guys as well. But what this has done, it's helped Boyd and Gilliam break away. Just a little bit of a gap right now between those two packs of cars.
But arguably the fastest man in the field's behind them in Suslan Harlow. They've got to be cautious about it, and Jack Boyd can't afford to get involved in too many incidents right now because he will lose all of the progress he's made, especially with Kyle Stokes being out of this event after his calamities here at Zolder today. Now with 8 laps to go, question becomes, do you attack or do you defend? Jack Boyd is in Schrodinger's overtake.
He hasn't got many opportunities left to get this overtake done as well, so Boyd really needs to get a wriggle on, because every time he looks like he might be able to make a move, Gilliam just comes back with some pace, or whether it's Boyd just losing pace from trying to make a move. But every time he tries to get a move done, he just loses so much momentum, and Jackson Suslan Harlow now is right there with Jack Boyd, possibly close enough to get a move.
And that's the big talking point. Jackson Suslan Harlow is the great driver in this field who wants to try and make those moves. Wiggle coming off of the Boulderberg hairpin. Jack Boyd's tyres, I think, are starting to let go here, Jay.
Yeah, every possibility, because Boyd has led this train, and Suslan Harlow's just been tucked in under the rear wing. Oh, that was close to that outside wall. Here comes Jackson Suslan Harlow, but not quite close enough yet.
Oh, a big lock-up, though, from Boyd. That's not going to help. Wiggle on the exit again. He's struggling for traction. Suslan Harlow dives to the inside. He left half a door open. The door was left ajar. Trying to run that outside line. Traction is still there, but cannot get the run that's needed. Are they going to squeeze each other here at Lucian Bianchi? How aggressive does Jack Boyd go? He holds the outside line, runs a little bit wide off the exit, and he's got the inside now for the next stage. Now it's late on the brakes. Here comes. Oh, my goodness. Brett Loxton tried to look for it, but he couldn't find on the brakes. Jack Boyd survives, but now look at this for the pace off the exit here, and there's no way of defending this one now for Jack Boyd, because through's going to go 1 and nearly a second here as Brett Loxton tries to get through. Can he get through? Yes, he can. Contact between the pair of them. They slow it up together. More contact, and Boyd is freight trained.
And here comes Haber as well. I think Boyd definitely got a slowdown penalty because he was so aggressive over that curb. You saw the car bounce, and he's gone from 4th to 7th in the blink of an eye. And he's got a little bit of damage from trying to defend that position so aggressively. As we're just seeing, there's a huge incident back in the field. There's a whole heap of cars involved. I can see McKnight, Evans. There's another couple of cars involved as well. We'll try and get a replay and see what's happened back in the field.
LeBlanc replay then up on your screen, and this does not bode well for the middle of the pack. Let's see exactly what's happened. So they're all next to each other. This was this pack in the mid-20s, looking to go through. McKnight's on the outside here, and he gets on the brakes. Oh, and that's the hyperdrive car of Tom Freer, who just could not get it stopped. That's Darren McKenzie, I believe we were looking at, sorry. So McKenzie couldn't get it stopped, just like that. Bang, all around they go, and there are not many more words you can say about that one, but for the moment at least, we've still got good racing going on. Michael Talianic's trying to take 21st position away from Matthew Deere. He's not finding it. Guy Leach back inside the top 20. He's trying to get past Scott Clark at the moment for 19th, and then he's got O'Keefe and Stovald and Goosey, Page and Robinson just in front, so he's got 5 cars all in a line, and he's got 6 laps to get them all.
And we know how good Leach is at overtaking. He's very, very smart in where he can position his car. Now he'll be looking to get past the car of Scott Clark as quick as he can. Also, Scott O'Keefe as well just made a mistake almost. Would have got a slowdown penalty there, but not by the looks of things. So he's able to hold on, but here comes Guy Leach. Is that driver that we may see contend for the championship next season? It's great to see Guy back out on track. He used to be very, very familiar to our broadcasts. When we started back 7 years ago, he was out there on track all the time. And he's really fit in well with the Zuva Racing, the V8 Sleuth car with HJR and also KRF. He's done a great job since he's been a part of that team.
He has done, and Guy Leach will now look to try and make these pushes through the field and try and get as many as he can in the final stages. Gap at the front is 1.7 seconds at the moment. McMullen is equal to Jordan Ross, but no more. He cannot close that gap down. Jordan Ross, barring mistakes, could just be away and clear between now and the end of this one. Andrew Gilliam has 2 seconds over Jackson Sutherland Harlow. Brett Loxton is a second back of that, and then Harley Haber a second back of that. 8/10 back of that is Jack Boyd, and the clouds start covering up the track as well. So now this track's going to get cool to finish. Eyes on Jamie Stovall though. He's the man under pressure, along with Clark, along with Leach, as Darren Goosey gets out of the way 1 lap down as Let's Taliancic through. This is all about one more position.
Yeah, Stovall, O'Keefe, Clark, Leach, and don't be surprised to see Dear Taliancic, even Simon Veller on the back of this train in the next couple of laps. 5 laps to go now. It's coming down quite quick how fast this race has gone by, as O'Keefe has a big mistake. Not quite close enough, these guys, to make a move yet. Guy Leach will be wanting to get through. The pace that he's had in this race definitely shouldn't put him in a 20th position. He should be a lot higher than that.
He certainly should be, but he has been struggling and maybe even fuel saving to try and get himself home in the end. So now for Guy Leach, heading through the left-right of Jackie X. Can he find something on the exit for the moment? No, he cannot. Look further forward though. Gilliam had 2 seconds. Gilliam now has 2/10. So Jackson Sutherland Harlow has taken advantage of a Gilliam slowdown, and an unforced error means that Gilliam's got to fight for the podium.
Yep, 100%. Got to be very, very careful now. There's Andrew Gilliam, because Jackson Sutherland Harlow, we've said continuously throughout this race, he's looked the strongest out of this 5-car group. So we'll see if he can actually get the move done and get himself into a podium spot. Well, started on pole with that amazing lap. He'll be disappointed to find himself back out of the podium positions, because that qualifying performance was incredible.
Well, I'll talk about this right now. Susan Harlow's lapping a second faster than Jack Boyd in 7th position right now. That just shows you how quick he is running at the moment. Now they're allowing Brett Loxton onto the rear of this train, and if they are not careful, Loxton could pick up a position if these two come together. This is the fight for the podium right now. Little wide goes Sutherland Harlow. He gets away with it though, as they get through and start 3 laps to go here at Zolder. They've only got 12 Ks and a bit of spare change if they want to make it happen. Battle at the front's also happening. That gap was 1.3, but Marlon McMullen had no luck with the traffic heading through turn number 2. He had to be careful on the outside with Troy Allen, who will now become traffic fodder for Gilliam, Sutherland Harlow and Loxton.
Yeah, Troy Allen's car doesn't look too healthy, but he's continuing on 13 laps down. We love it when people continue on and fight all the way to the finish. But McMullen last lap by 0.4 of a second quicker, and it's just over a second between the top 2 cars with 3 laps to go. There's nothing in this fight. It's going to be a really, really tight finish. Gilliam is doing a great job of defending, as he has. Yeah, Loxton. That's painful. But Gilliam has been so good defending all race long.
He has. I haven't seen him really lose a position. I've only seen him gain a couple, and this is the big worry at the moment for Andrew Gilliam. If he makes one mistake, Sutherland Harlow pounces, and it's that unpredictability factor which makes life very difficult to defend against the Simworks TTL driver of Jackson Sutherland Harlow. Now what can 75 do to get by 201? He's got 2 laps to go and make it happen as they head through Jackie X. This could be the best opportunity yet. The gap across the line for leaders extends back up to 1.5 with 2 laps to go. Gilliam's gap extends to half a second, and now Gilliam's got to think about, okay, every apex from here on in has got to be perfect as he slides his way through first corner.
Just seen as well that we've got a couple of drivers that have DNF from this race. Tom Freer and Scott O'Keefe both out of the race. So Very, very painful. Also seeing as well, Michael Taliadzic is having issues too. Brenton Hobson ready to pounce.
He is, as is James Mackay, trying to get past a wounded Jacob Knight. But Hobbo 88 looking for position number 8 again. He's worked hard to get back into this position. He just needs to find a magical overtake in the final lap and a half of this event. Still though, just a little bit in front. Susan Harlow is still stuck behind. They make the breaks to Lehman. He won't make the banzai move now, but he's got to try something if he wants to get this one sorted. Great run through the third part of the four-quarter complex, as now they will start thinking about a small kick left to the Boulderberg hairpin. Any opportunities, he will be welcome to take them. Does he dive late? He angles to the inside. He thinks about it. Oh, he almost leans there on Andrew Gilliam as he tries to make the move. Can't find it. Jochen Rin. Now Jackie X coming, and he's all over the rear. Will he look to the inside at Jackie X? That's brave if you're going to try it there. Won't have that chance, but we'll have to try and look now at first corner. If he wants something to happen, he compromises the exit slightly. 1 lap to go now here at Zolder. James Scott still fighting it out with Brenton Hobson. Hobbo 88 trying to get that run, as is James Mackay as well for Evolution Racing Team. Susan Harlow cannot make the move down to the inside at turn number 2, as well Marlon McMullen effectively gives up on the battle for the lead as Jordan Ross brings that gap to 2 seconds at the moment on the brakes through 4, ever so lightly. Klein chicane coming up now for Andrew Gilliam and Jackson Susan Harlow. Now you got to wonder, where do you make that move? Susan Harlow has found an equal right now in terms of defence, and don't count Brett Loxton out. He's worked hard to get back into this fight, and he will want to get there ASAP at the moment as they go through and try to make some moves. Well defended from James Scott behind in their battle to Lehman though. Still nothing going between them at the moment in the fight for the podium, and all of a sudden Gilliam finds space, he finds life, and I think he may have just found sanctity at this stage. For Jordan Ross though, he's got himself just 2 corners to go through Jochen Rindt, and now the final corner of Jackie X remains, as now for once and finally he gets some good mistake from Gilliam though. We look behind, there's going to be the chance. Jordan Ross is going to come to line and pick the move. Here comes Susan Harlow though, looking for the inside. Oh, he pushes a little bit wide. Contact between them. Here comes Loxton. He'll take it away from Susan Harlow for 4th place, but Gilliam survives the gauntlet for 3rd.
Wow, great job from Andrew Gilliam, but Loxton, as you said, did get 4th. Susan Harlow will be disappointed with a 5th in the end. James Scott and Brenton Hobson didn't change positions in the end either. And also there was an incident for James McKee back in the field, and he lost a whole heap of ground as he was trying to get that move done on Jacob Knight. He's going to finish in 15th position.
Oh, and it happened at the Klein chicane. Heads through the left-right, trying to get something sorted. He hits the curb, and he goes around all on his own. So Mackay only himself to blame there come the end. But classified results are up on your screen. This is how things finish at Zolder. It's Jordan Ross who picks up the win in 57 minutes and 38 seconds. He wins by 1.4 over Marlon McMullen, with Andrew Gilliam desperately defending and holding off 3rd. It's Brett Loxton who snipes it away from Jackson Susan Harlow in 5th position, with Harley Haber 6th. Jack Boyd losing ground in terms of what he had with 10 laps to go, but 7th position is still massive gains on Kyle Stokes, the championship leader, as he finishes his race. James Scott holds off for 8th.
Brenton Hobson in 9th position, back to where he started after that incident early on. Jacob Knight rounding at the top 10. David Kidman and Gary Cooper for Pursuit Sim Racing, both in 11th and 12th. Damien Johnson in 13th position, with Chris Robinson 14th, Luke Page in 15th, and James Mackay in 16th position.
Jamie Stovold gets 17th, with Guy Leach into 18th place on his recovery. Matthew Deere gets 19th. A great drive from Simon Vella. He's up 21 positions to finish in 20th place. Stephen Varga will get Blackjack with Nick Hausler in 2 Little Ducks. Tony Gaffer gets 23rd after pitting very, very late, as Darren McKenzie finishes 24th.
25th goes to Jamie McKnight, with Matt Lepoitovan in 26th position. Shane Evans in 27th. Darren Goosey in 28th, with Chris Radicic 29th. David Nedenak in 30th position. Zach Baker 31st after the incident on lap 1, with Chris Barnes in 32nd position.
We're starting to hit laps down or retired, because 33rd is Scott Clark. Scott O'Keefe couldn't make it home. He finishes 34th. And then you got Michael Taliancic, Lindsay Hobbs, Brenton O'Brien running into issues late. Tom Freer, 38th. Sean Thompson had his barrel of woes with Matthew Clowett in 40th.
Then the rest of the field, also DNFing Brian Borg, Matt Morris, Kyle Stokes, Troy Allen, Bradley Ratu, Brody Whitmore, Kai Sloggett, Michael Barron, Mitchell Bales, Curtis Reed, Toby Webb, Daniel Leet and Mark Samuel. The 53 cars we had for tonight's race.
Yes, very, very true. And we have seen some great racing, but we're going to step aside very, very briefly here on the iRacing Esports Network post-race coverage coming to you after this.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he can't win the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top! Oh my god! Oh, big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to AOSC action. We have seen arguably one of the most dramatic races of the championship so far, and it proves that AOSC is completely unpredictable, even at the best of times. But it was victory for Jordan Ross in the end. The man who finished second, though, overall, is Marlon McMullen, who joins us now in the commentary booth. Marlon, well, a very important second position for you. It just seemed that you had some great legs there today, but ultimately it just seemed that there was one thoroughbred too many in the field.
Oh, that was an absolute awesome race, and I've got to tell you, it's a lot better than what I sort of endured last week with the internet dropouts. So, you know, it's great to be racing back out the front, and I got the pole position last week, and then this week, you know, to qualify third, it's such an improvement, because in the last few weeks, I mean, well, even the last Scops round at Phillip Island, my pedals completely just broke pretty much. So I swapped them over, put these in, and then in the last 2 weeks I seem to found some pace. And yeah, today it was really awesome to battle Jordan. I'm sweating. It's the middle of winter, so that shouldn't happen. It's freezing cold, but I'm sweating. He pushed me all the way right to the end. I tried to get him, but he just was too good. And then a bit of the traffic, just it was sort of how you played it throughout the lap. But otherwise it was really good to race out the front. And after the safety car sort of pull away from Andrew, who was chasing me down really, really fast. But yeah, I got me bum back in the gear, and yeah, had a really good battle with Jordan towards the end. So overall, not too dissatisfied, but yeah, so close to that win. But well done to Jordan.
Well, more importantly than a second place finish for you, the championship has been blown wide open after racing today, after incidents with Kyle Stokes. Do you feel now that you can take this momentum not only into the final 3 rounds of the championship, but start to build up a repertoire with 2 Enduros in the final 3 rounds?
Oh, I hope so. It's just, as I always said to you, I take it week by week. But as I said, in the last, 2 weeks, I've changed the pedals. So I feel a lot better, like on the brakes. I feel a lot more stable. So I'm not really locking up. And, I sort of got like a bit of a trait where I get the rear really loose and it looks like I'm about to crash. But I just sort of slide it through the corner. And it's really good around this track in that middle sector. So, I felt I made a good setup as well this week. So I hope Borgie, Brian Borg, who I'm with for the Enduros, likes what I've got. Usually I make pretty nice setups. So hopefully, he can work with me towards, achieving a goal of another championship in this series. But, as I said, I've won a couple already. I've tasted glory in this thing. I'm just happy to be racing up at the front at the moment. And that's all I can do, just take it week by week. And, if anything goes wrong, like today with Paul Kyle, I'm not too sure what happened. I'll go back and watch it. I'm there to salvage, so today was an important race. You're absolutely right. But yeah, not as important because Jordan got more points. But anyway, it is what it is.
Well, before we let you go, Marlon, any shout-outs or sponsors?
Absolutely none, because the car is black and there's nothing on it except me names and my YouTube channel. But otherwise, thanks to everyone who supports me and watch my live streams. Didn't run it tonight because I didn't want to drop out again like I did last week. So absolutely no risk. So yeah, today was really good to put on a great show. So thanks guys for putting on a great broadcast, and hopefully I can put on some more.
Marlon McMullen there joining us, second position. He gets over all. The winner, though, was Jordan Ross, who joins us right now in the commentary booth. Jordan, a very important race victory after what has been a very inconsistent season so far for you. Are you looking to try and just put all those results together with the last few rounds of the championship remaining?
Yeah, for sure. I've missed a few races, been away and had some pretty bad results. So it's really good to finally get a win this season. I haven't had a win all season, I don't think.
Well, you've got yourself a big race victory, and it's one that comes at a very important time for the team, especially with results ending up the way that they have done. You know that there is a very, very short turnaround before the next round of the championship at Phillip Island. How does that factor into your preparations after a big victory?
Yeah, we're good to go. We've got a Phillip Island set, which is fast. I didn't get to race there in Scots, but yeah, I'll be racing there with James again, and we're pretty confident. We'll be ready to go.
And, well, being ready to go, a big race victory for you. Just how difficult was qualifying conditions out there? Because it seemed that everyone was able to find a 10th, 2 tenths with every lap they had.
Yeah, just with the weather changing, you had to be on the track at the right time. And when I did my best lap, towards, like, as I started my lap, the temp went up 2 degrees. So maybe I could have got pole if I started a couple of minutes earlier, but that's the way it is. So, but yeah, that was tough. But front row, good start.
Well, before we let you go, Jordan, any shout-outs or sponsors?
Yeah, thanks to all the guys at ERT. I just bolted on that set from Dean and Cooper from early in the week, and it was awesome. So thanks to all the guys from ERT.
Well, no worries at all. Jordan Ross picking up a big race victory by his standards. Andrew Gilliam, though, what a defensive drive from you to get 3rd position. Just talk us through the final lap there, because a mistake at the Boulderberg hairpin, and then it was the biggest defence I think you've had in your sim racing career so far.
Yeah, thanks, man. I made an absolute meal out of those last 5 laps, eh? And when I got that slowdown, man, my heart sunk. Oof. And Jackson, man, he had so much pace out of nowhere. I had no idea. I closed my eyes going through that last corner, eh? Oh, I was out in the grass, I think, midway through that last chicane. Oh, holding on.
Well, you managed to hold on, but let's just talk about the battling all throughout that race, because it seemed that every single position was going to be fought over tooth and nail. How difficult is it fighting in pack situations when you know that one mistake is going to drop you 4 or 5 positions and it's going to take maybe 2 or 3 laps to get the position back?
Yeah, it's super tense. Like, you don't know whether or not to make the move, and like sometimes you'll get an awesome run, try to make the move and get held up the outside, and you undo your last 5 laps of work. So it's really all about timing. But yeah, that was an intense race. I think I was in a pack for the podium for like 95% of it. And that was awesome fun.
You find yourself now with a very short break of about 5 days or so before Phillip Island. You're now starting to think about maybe moving towards the end of the season, a sort of a run of form right now in both of the top Australian touring car series that finds you right now as one of the hottest prospects on the grid. How much is Pursuit really attributed to your sudden gain in pace?
Oh, everything. I owe it to them massively. Like, the team has come a long way over the last year, and we have a good core of drivers, and we are gelling so well together. They've been all of it. Like, Mike, when he inducted me into the team, just gave me so much direction and confidence in myself, and it's just taken off from.
Well, it's taken off from there, but before we let you go, any shout-outs or sponsors?
Yeah, I'd love to give a massive shout-out to MXTV and, of course, the team. Thank you guys so much. Couldn't be here without.
Well, no worries at all. Andrew Gilliam getting a big 3rd place finish in that race. But, Jay, before we let you everything end for proceedings here this evening, final thoughts coming out of Zolder.
Wow, what a race that was. It was just action all the way through the field. It was great to watch, and I have missed being here on a Friday night. I've missed a couple, and great to be back, and I've loved every second of it. So looking forward to the next round in a couple of weeks when we head to Phillip Island. Only 3 weeks to go, or 3 rounds to go in the championship. The season's flown by, but the end of the season is going to be really action-packed with Phillip Island for 650k, Spa for 150, and then to finish it off at Mount Panorama at Bathurst. It's going to be an incredible finale to the season.
You bet it is. But from everyone here, it's been some great work. A lot of people to thank. Of course, LeBlanc for the action replays. West End Mazda, who sponsors AOSC action that we have seen this evening. And, of course, to so many of the drivers and the teams that have shown up and shown just how beautiful sim racing can be. Of course, from us here at SimSpeed TV, that's been Jay Kennedy, and I've been Jake Sperry here on the iRacing Esports Network. It is a major turning point in the championship, and there is not long to stew over and rue mistakes. Get back in the saddle, Mr. Stokes, because the entire field is right behind you, chasing down for a coveted championship run.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney. Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?